We're so thrilled to have you here, and you've got a very exciting story to tell us that has to do with art and autism and your journey with both, and how you've arrived at somebody who is teaching and doing individualized programs with art with children on the autism spectrum. But let's back up a little bit and tell us a little bit about your journey, how you came to be an artist.
Well, art's a part of my heart, a part of my life, and I did receive excellent training at the Art Center College of Design, and I went into a very intensive technical advertising design program, which does not make any sense for being a mom who I am now.
Right.
But back in the day,
Yeah,
you were
back
just
in the day,
single woman.
we've all had many lives, many
Yes.
of us, and then we
Yes.
find a way to change, adapt what we do to working in the field of autism, right?
Yes. So then with fine art, it was a lot different. That I could see in a group class setting, I could see a model of teaching and learning children that I wanted to adapt, that I wanted to make my own and have my own students. And it pretty much the difference being is the individual approach versus a group. I still provide the structure, I still provide all the techniques, but it's really tapping into that child's interest that you can do maybe more on an individual or very small group basis. And
So you started that with typical children.
Yes.
And then tell us about your son and how autism came into your world.
Okay, my son, he's an artist in his own right, in his the way he designs and thinks in colors, never flat colors. It's all like mixing, like Matisse.
And his name?
And his name is Diane Bernstein, and he's now the ambassador for 2012-13 naturally autistic people in Canada. And
amazing.
he's
How old is he now?
13 and a half.
13.
Wow.
In fact, this Saturday he's having a show at Grassroots with his jewelry, and so this is where he's at now. He's had about maybe 8-10 shows. He's been to Canada several times. He's co-hosted. So he really feels very famous and really built up self-esteem. But the original, where this came from is, I'm not going to do it your way, Mom. I'm going to do it my own way. I'm going to find what I like. And we started going to Kid Space Museum in Pasadena, where he just naturally in the environment found things that he liked, rocks and shells.
When he was very young.
Yeah,
Now, had you been diagnosed with autism at this point?
No, earlier. But for us, it was late.
Age?
It was 4.5. At that time, that was late.
Okay.
Well, my son was diagnosed at 3, but didn't start getting really any treatment till 4.5. So
Everything happened at school and regional center and everything coming in on board. But the one thing that did help him with the public school setting is in 4th grade they had a dreams to jobs component, and he made a business plan. And that business plan is where he said, I want to work with others with disabilities. He actually he named a girlfriend at the time. And we had my brother who was in Brazil who was supplying us with beautiful Brazilian beads. So we had, and then also because I've been a volunteer at the Division of Special Education, I started working there as a parent liaison. And so I started to know some of the people and organizations in the community, and it became more natural to have a show, to be able to, call up someone and say, hey, my child does this. Would you have a little table for him? And so Whole Foods did something as well. I mentioned a lot of health food stores because my son really loves to eat and munch, so that was natural.
Well, I met your son at Stephanie's Day.
Yes.
And he is just a really delightful young man, and he was really sweet with my son Wyatt. He was like, Wyatt, hi, I'm Jeremy. Do you remember? And then he kind of followed Wyatt around because Wyatt was kind of roaming a little bit, and eloping a bit. So he was kind of helping me, and he's just a darling boy.
But some of those social skills, those are the things that he didn't receive in school. When he's now in a non-public school, and all of this self-esteem building experiences has been out. So he's probably his best gift to the world in general is that he includes himself. I'm a part of this world, and here I am. And for me as a parent, it was really tough because there was no stopping him. He would just, when he was younger, I was afraid of the strangers. But as he's getting older, that very same thing that was controversial about him wanting to meet everybody in the world, for fun, we go to dog parks because that's just who he is.
Yeah.
And so tapping into who he is and giving him freedom to be who he is, The more I can do that as a parent, the more self-esteem he builds up, the more he's a part of this world that doesn't have anything to do about his mommy doing this or that. It's about him, and he has his own following and people that really care and support him, and the whole community in Canada, for example.
Well, so it was interesting when we were talking about this idea of the campaign. I just want to ask you, I don't want to put you on the spot, but how do you feel about that? That when someone says, let's wipe out, as a mom whose child has flourished, having autism, how do you feel about a campaign that says, let's wipe out autism, cancer, and diabetes in their lifetime?
Are you kidding me? What are we going to do? Wipe out hope and joy? Did anybody ever get married here and you were terrified, but it was a mixed blessing? Some of life's best moments are those precarious little delicate ride. I heard you talking earlier about some of the really difficult times. When you get the joys, they are amazing.
And I agree with you. I do. And I live that. And so does Shannon. But Diane, there are a lot of families out there that don't live that don't have the resources and can't cope because they don't have access to any. I mean, even exposing their children to art is tough. So anyway, that's interesting. But you certainly are an example of a mother who has taken the lead of her child. But it does sound like Jeremy does he have Asperger's, or is he
is actual differently abled, as you would say. He's differently abled with autism, ADHD, and he'll say a little tiny bit of Tourette's. He'll even say that, and he'll be proud, and he'll tell people about himself. And I'm like, wait, do you want to tell this person? But he's still saying, I'm a person. How many do you know of kids in business? And sometimes I have to think it's sometimes even more successful when somebody overcomes so many obstacles and difficulties. I was about to say disabilities. But that's what makes them a stronger person.
You know what I think we should go back to? When my younger brother, who had Down syndrome, was going to school, they called it a school for exceptional children.
Yeah.
What happened to that phrase, exceptional?
I don't know. And it seems like it would be the politically correct thing.
I know.
And so
maybe we
why
should bring it
that
back.
went away and became special needs.
Yeah.
Which a lot of us, I don't get offended by that, but I prefer differently abled.
Yeah.
I prefer and I prefer exceptional.
Yeah.
And there are lots of people who refer to their children as exceptional and twice exceptional. But I kind of want to go back.
Let's go back to the art.
I want to go back to talking about, so here you have a child, and you, because you're an artist, you're doing art things with him, even before he's diagnosed. But then he gets a diagnosis, and did that make you want to do more art things with you, or did you have that moment of grief and saying, maybe my child isn't going to be able to do the things that I thought that he was going to do, or did you just skip past that and just do more art with him?
Yes and no. I don't do the art with him. It's him doing the art. I do have a jewelry teacher. As a matter of fact, she's a graduate of the help group, so she also gets him, and she's younger, and she can say the same thing I would say, but from a different perspective.
So you don't actually teach him?
No, but I'm the one who's there with him at the shows. I'm the one setting up the shows, getting ready for the shows with him. But he is doing much more of that, of the taking on of the business model as he gets older, and also with his communications with everybody, because it takes a lot of communication. He recently was at the mayor's office in April, and I had set up. He had brought back 2 awards from 2 attendees. May I say beautiful names of these award winners? Sure. Cooper Barella in Visual Arts and Jeremy Cecil Kira in Community Achievement.
Chantal's son.
Exactly. So we set up with the families that they would have an award ceremony here in April during the Autism Awards month, and this is going to be at the Autism Day at City Hall. So yes, I did that, but he saw me do all of that. He's seeing me do it. He's seeing the communications. So the modeling mode, yes, I've got the initial as a parent, the responsibility as the liaison in this thing, but he's partnering and he's modeling, and if you saw the video of him there and you saw the conversations, the natural conversations, it was so much him as the leader and including everybody in his community, and it was just
we need
the
to,
highest,
we
the
need
highest
to
one,
show
the highest.
Jeremy in action sometime.
Yeah. Well, and my point is, though, I think because you're an artist, you were probably already doing things with him. There are people out there who, they're starting their kids with crayons, and the child eats the crayons, and then the crayons go away, and then
Right.
there's no more art.
May I address some of those issues? Some of the students that I've had, I'm not going to mention names, they're
Right.
lovely, but they've had really difficulty accessing part of the process. So you have to find out what part of it. I had one child who really needed to blow into a balloon at a certain point because of dealing with sitting in the chair. Well, once that part was out of the way, the drawing part, and we started to do less. We started painting with the brush because the painting was so flowing and natural, and there was no problem with the process of that. The access just came, and you didn't have some of those issues. So sometimes finding out what the styles are that somebody needs to work with, and that's also good because I do know myself, and I do know how I like to work, and I still really enjoy. I do late night drawing workshops and with the gallery girls, and we do figurative drawing and workshops, and so I still have that delight in my life. So I know the pleasure. And I know what can be difficult. I know for myself, time has been a factor. So whatever the factor is, there's ways to work around it. I could probably give you another example of another, student or child, but it's the idea
it's all
is
individual.
It's
idea is
individual,
access. You
which
can't-
is why I talked to you about. I said I'd love for you to work with my son because and you know what an artist Wyatt is.
Yes.
Just an incredible artist. But he loves splashing water. That's his STEM.
Oh, that's the one.
And really,
No, splashing,
so
tearing.
he will splash repeatedly before he puts he has to have that brush completely clean of the paint before he goes into the other color. He doesn't put the colors out, and he's obsessive about it. And of course you could correct that, or you could just watch this unfold, which I have done to amazing effect. He's got an egg carton series that is out of this world that he has done all the different, I'll bring some of them in. They're amazing. And he used to tear things, and I used to think, what are you doing? He was building a collage.
Wow.
He once put sand all over a painting, and I was like, what are you doing? And I could have stopped that. He then painted over the sand, and it gave it texture.
Goodness.
So I think you're talking about respecting, right? Their individual.
Respecting and accessing the art is different, and who's to say that a child shouldn't have that process on their terms,
Right.
as long as they keep safe,
Exactly. Exactly.
Right.
So that's what you would advocate for the parent. What advice would you give the parent at home that's watching about if you could tell them how you developed Jeremy in just a few sentences, like
Or
what
how to help the children
keys,
access art.
or how to help our children on the spectrum access art is a great question.
Well, it's kind of like having that cozy corner, that cozy space in art that, maybe you can make a mess in a certain area. You find a little spot and you can use materials perhaps not as they've designed to use. Maybe the crayons are going to end up being sculpturally put together or something different that you never even thought of. And it may really look strange to you, but it feels good. If personally, as an artist, if I don't do my art in some way, I make a terrible mess in the kitchen cooking or something, because it's something that needs to be expressed, and it's like almost like a human right, and it doesn't have to be a perfect way. It's some people would say it's very therapeutic, but it's not so much that you're going to analyze or judge it, that you're going to feel it and express it. And also it does help with some darker feelings as well, because sometimes there's not a place to be just completely happy all the time. And sometimes that's like writing, sometimes you need to be coming from a different point of view, and it does help other areas.
You're talking about respecting that artist, and all artists are such a combination of pain and joy and all of the most intense human feelings, and our children are no exception.
Right. So
know?
making that safe space for them.
Yeah.
Taking
Yeah,
one
really.
part of the house and saying, here the rules are a little bit different. You can do what you need to do here.
And don't judge too quickly is what I'm getting. Let it develop. So I'm really interested in talking to you about Wyatt and maybe, having you take a look at him and him painting and seeing what you think. So we're going to follow up on
fun.
that.
How can families, if a family is interested in talking to you further about what you do or having a child work with you, where can they contact you?
Well, I'm quite visible on Facebook, LinkedIn, but you'll find me at Grassroots Natural Market and Kitchen this Saturday from 11 to 3. Jeremy will be having a show, and you can see his jewelry.
Is there a website they can go to?
The Grassroots.
Grassroots.
Grassroots Natural Market and Kitchen.
Okay, but what about you and Jeremy? You both have your own.
That is something that we put on our wish list.
Okay.
Because we are trying to fundraise to go back to Canada, and he has a GoFundMe campaign, and he wrote on his GoFundMe campaign and has a picture of him.
Is that on
making
social
jewelry.
media?
That one, GoFundMe.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so you
but
can
they can
support Jeremy
find
to
you
that.
on Facebook.
Facebook, LinkedIn, my
Diane
phone
Bernstein.
number. We're going to give my phone number. We're going to give my
Okay, I think
email.
Emily's
Okay,
got
we're gonna
that
get
up
that
right
to
now.
Emily, so
Emily's
people-
got it on the screen.
She's got it.
Okay.
So if people have more questions, because we have people watch us all over the world, so they can't all get to
Lovely.
Pasadena.
And I'm
this
sure
week.
we brought up some really interesting. Today's been really an interesting
It has been,
conversation.
yes.
It's been
Different
we really
perspectives
different
about where our
perspectives,
kids are.
and I think opening ourselves up to considering a different point of view.
Yeah,
right?
looking at it in a different way, and giving our kids the space to be and express themselves however they are, which is, I think something that we all should be open to.
We all need to be open to.
Whatever ability that our children are at. That
right.
doesn't mean that we can't strive for progress in areas that are challenging, but allowing them to be and express themselves
That's
how
right.
they are.